Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to talk about 10 different gifts, maybe not necessarily the best gifts, but 10 interesting gifts for the guitar player in your life. Maybe for you, maybe for me. I know so many of you guys love me, but I already have this stuff. That's why I'm going to show it to you. If you're like me, I always like trying new strings. I usually go back to certain strings, but I do like trying new ones. These are Charlie and John strings. So these strings are handmade in the USA. They're really, really cool. They play really nice. I'm going on my second set of these, and I'll do like a little bit more of a review on these and how they sound and opening the package and showing those in the future. But these are really, really cool. If you want to try something different that you might not have had before, that's made in the USA, these are a good thing to try, either to give to a guitar friend of yours or for yourself. Now, a while ago, I did like a review on these Lakato wireless units. These are really, really cool. These are about like 20 or 30 bucks, I believe they were. And because I hadn't had a wireless unit in a long time, these were so much fun for a long time. Now, even though I do like the cables that I use, especially monster cables, just because they work well, they have low noise, they're excellent quality. These made me really, really enjoy being wireless and being able to not have to like look every time I walk away from my amp to make sure I'm not dragging something out. I can go across the room, and I'm just more free to do stuff. It's very kind of liberating actually to use like a wireless unit. So after I had these for a while, I figured, well, these are really nice. They're good for around the house, but I want something a little bit more, maybe higher quality, a little low latency or a little lower latency. These have a slight bit of latency. After you've been playing for a while, you probably won't notice it, but I noticed it right away. And when I compare them to the new ones I got, these X5s that I keep on here, I did notice that these are a little bit lower latency, almost pretty close to what you would feel from a chord. So comparing these two, the X5 to the Lakato, pretty similar in size. These have probably about the same range. These have a little bit longer battery life. These are definitely a little bit more rugged, and I kind of like rugged gear because I'm kind of hard on it. I use my things like tools. I don't baby things. I don't like put things down like really neatly. And if you're gigging a lot like me or like a lot of you are too, these things are going in and out of bags constantly. They're being dropped here, not dropped, but they're like put in cases and put in the car and taken out of a car and put on carts and putting all over the place. So you need to have rugged gear. Definitely think these are something you should check out. Links are in the description. Now when I'm practicing, I usually sit all over the house. Sometimes I'll sit in here. Sometimes I'll sit outside by the dock, on the deck. Sometimes I will sit on steps. Sometimes I'll go sit in a park. Sometimes, quite often, if I want to practice and spend a lot of time, you want to sit in something comfortable that you have good back support on. You don't want to be hunched over too much playing a guitar for hours. It's not good for your back. It's not good for your concentration. So my wife got me a really cool guitar chair that's actually got a stand on the bottom of it too, which is very, very convenient. One of the things I like about it, it's a nice height for a guitar stool to like kind of half stand on and half sit on. It has back support on there, and also it folds up completely by itself, so you can move it to a gig if you want, which is kind of nice. The bottom of it actually has a guitar stand that hold an electric or an acoustic, a little bit wider for an acoustic. So it's definitely not only convenient, but it's actually pretty comfortable and helps you keep like good back support when you're playing. So if you're looking for something like an extra stool around the house or for gigs, I definitely recommend that. Also links in the description. Now I've talked to you guys a few times before about loopers and my Ditto that I've had for years that I really, really love. I ended up wanting to get something a little bit different and I wasn't sure what to get. So I ended up getting this Ditto Plus. This is pretty much like the original Ditto with a few different variations, a few different editions. You can actually connect this to your computer much easier to download the tracks from it, put things onto it. It has 99 different slots where you can save things on, which is nice because the other one only had one. So if I'm making this really, really cool loop and then I have another idea, I either have to record the loop onto something really quick or I have to just delete it and start over again. This one has 99 different loops that you can save on here. I'm up to 17 right now. I've been screwing around with it, mainly for practice tracks, mainly for some kind of composing. I have a riff idea. I'll just loop it onto here or record it onto a track, maybe do something else on it, and I'll just mess with it later on. And I plan on doing a really cool demo on it that walks you through all the different features of this very, very soon. Now, if you're a bass player, there are a lot of options for playing bass. And for a long time, I had this $200 Ibanez sound gear that I bought many, many years ago. And I had it rewired and I did some things onto it, which was a little bit unstable because it was a cheaper guitar and the soldering connections weren't very good. But after I took care of it and did a few things with it, this is actually a really good playing basic bass that I was actually in a couple bands with and it worked out pretty fine. A little noisy because the pickups aren't great, but it served its purpose for a long time. However, recently I wanted to bump up my bass game and started getting into more bass playing and get like an actual, I get a better quality bass. So I got this nice new Fender American Standard. Well, it's not American Standard. American Professional 2. If you're looking for a great bass, really great bass, one of the best ones I've ever played myself, this is definitely something you should check out. And I'll have a detailed demo of this very, very soon. So my first thing right now that I wanted for a bass amp is just going to be for the home, for practicing, for maybe some light jamming, maybe some recording, and possibly like a gig if I need it. I need to be gig ready if I wanted to, like on a snap. Although if I start gigging with bass more, I'm going to get like a better gigging unit. But I did want something nice, light, sounded good, not too expensive, that I can either move around the house or take to a friend's house to jam with or something like that, that I could also record with. So I ended up buying Fender Rumble 40. This Fender Rumble 40. It's an excellent bass amp. It sounds great. It's pretty loud. You can get a lot of good tones on it, a lot of different settings you can do with it. It's got an XLR line out, so I can actually gig with it pretty well in a pinch if I needed to. And it has an auxiliary in for putting in whatever kind of music you want, so you can actually jam to it. So this is pretty nice, pretty inexpensive, and a really, really good thing to have around the house that you can, sounds good at a low volume, and you can even gig with it if you needed to. I'm sure you guys have seen my old pedal board before, the IKEA shelf unit that I use as a project. But I wanted something a little bit different. I wanted something like a specific size. I didn't want to have to redo the size on that. And I just wanted to get like an actual pedal board, Pedal Train. So I got a Pedal Train Classic that I picked up not too long ago. It's made very, very well. It's very rugged. It's a little more expensive than some people would want to pay for something like that, even though it's just like a rack. But I'll tell you what, it's really, really worth it. It's good. It's solid. It doesn't slip. It's made well. It's a perfect size. And it's just, I'm really, really glad I had it. I have the link in the description if you want to check it out yourself. If you're looking for a good power supply that gives you 8 different outputs and lets you control exactly what's on each one of them. For instance, my MXR Reverb takes a little bit more than 9 volts and was always kind of like low on power on it. And it was like turning on and off. So you can bump that up to 12 and you can have like different separate controls for the power on each separate line, which is really, really nice for this one because it keeps all my pedals nice and quiet. It keeps them all separated and isolated, and it keeps the power pretty good and consistent for it. It's definitely much better than the one spot that I used to have, which is really good. It worked fine. Didn't really have any problems with it. It was a little noisy, but you know, if you're gigging or something, you have your guitar's volume turned down when you're not playing anyways to quiet things up. So it was never really a huge problem, so I just never got anything else. But I wanted to buy something different, something new, and wanted some new gear to play with. So I picked that Voodoo Labs up, and it's really, really nice. I'll do a full demo on it sometime soon, but definitely something you should look into if you've been wanting to get like a better power supply and you just want to replace your one spot. It's kind of noisy. Maybe some pedals work on it, some pedals don't. Some pedals don't. The Voodoo Labs would definitely be a good one to look for. Chorus pedals. Chorus pedals were so 80s and so, maybe not 90s, a little before then. I got so burned out on chorus pedals playing so much rock and metal in the 80s that I could just, and pop as well too, that I just got tired of hearing the way chorus sounded. And that was probably my least favorite modulation pedal of anything in the last 20 years or something like that. So recently I wanted to start getting back into different uses of chorus. And at first I was like, well, I don't want the 80s type of chorus because that's just too played out. But then when I got one, I was like, well, it'd be nice to be able to get like the Def Leppard chorusy sound, or the Tom Scholz Rockman kind of chorus sound, or the 80s pop chorus sound. So the one I went with was a Walrus Audio Julia. Now the Julias, I looked at a lot of different chorus pedals and I was looking at different features of various different ones. The main one that I liked was the Arion, I think it was SC1 or SC2 or something like that I had in the 80s, which I bought because it was the cheapest at the time, but it ended up being an iconic one that a lot of people, including JHS, use as their model for their Emperor Penguin for JHS, and a few other ones. But it's a really, really excellent pedal, the Julia. And I'll show you some demos on it, walk through it. There's a lot of different sounds you can get from it. And it's just a lot of fun to play with. And you can get it very subtle. You can get it to be anything from a very, very basic modulation chorus to just fill it up, to a real washy chorus, to a full-on vibrato type effect, depending on how you mix it and what kind of, how you do the round waves or the square waves, or pointy waves, whatever you want to call them. Gives a little bit different sound effects, and it's definitely really cool sounding. So if you want to look for one of the coolest choruses that they make nowadays, Walrus Audio is making some really good stuff, and the Julia is pretty excellent as far as choruses. Cori. So while I was on Instagram, you know, sometimes you're on Instagram and you see these different ads come up that you didn't look for, but they just kind of target you on. And I remember seeing an ad for this Firefly pick. This is a pick where every time you hit it on something on your string, whether you're doing an upstroke or a downstroke, or depending on how you're holding it, the different sides flag different colors. Now I got this one, I think it's called a Fire and Ice. If you hit it on one side, it's red. Hit it on the other side and it's blue. And it's a typical 351 size pick, like a normal thing. It's a little bit thicker than normal, but it's pretty nice to play with, not just because it's a great pick. It's an okay pick as far as pick goes. It's workable, but it's really cool like to use this for maybe like a certain song in your set or something like that when the lights are down or something interesting like that. So these Firefly picks are pretty cool to use for that visual performance aspect of playing. And that's my round of 10 random but pretty cool guitar things you could buy for yourself or the guitar player of your dreams. They're the guitar player in your life. Anyways, let me know what you thought about the list, what you think about them, if you use any of these stuff. If you want to, like I said, I'm going to be doing demos and more on these as the time goes on. Hopefully I'll get all these demos in before Christmas because I have a lot of other content to do and I could probably crank out all these demos in one day if I sit here and record them all. So I'm looking forward to doing that, to showing you guys some stuff and to showing you some other guitar techniques that I've been doing lately. And that's about it. Let me know what you guys think and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, rock on, have a great holiday season, and do some guitar playing.